So far, we've added a script to our EC2 instance that will be executed when the EC2 instance boots up. Now, something that I didn't mention previously is that we've configured here 8080. Now, what does this mean? Now, this is basically specifying the port that the server will be listening on. So we're saying to listen on port 8080, any requests that come through on that port, then serve out this file index.html. So just a note on that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our security group. To open ports in our EC2 instance, we need to create a security group. Now, since we're making use of infrastructure as code tool in Terraform, we're going to create the security group as another resource in our Terraform config. Now, let's create the security resource now. So I'm just going to type out some code and then we're going to explain exactly what it is doing. Now, this Terraform code creates a new resource called AWS Security Group. And inside the block configuration for the security group, we specify the incoming ports that we want to open up to accept traffic. So we specify this with the ingress argument here. We allow TCP traffic requests on port 8080 and we allow traffic to come from 0000/0, and this means any IP address range that includes all IP addresses anywhere in the world. So any device can make a request to our web server. Now, creating the security group is not enough. We need to use the security group itself, and to do that, we need to reference it inside the Terraform configuration. So if you scroll back up here, and then just after the instance type, just make a bit of space, we're going to add the VPC security group ID. So again, this argument comes from the AWS EC2 instance, so you can refer there again. So security group, and then it's going to be IDs, so you can add more than one. So we're going to set that to AWS _ security group, and it's going to be instance. So this instance here is referring to the name that we gave it in our Terraform code, and then we want the ID of that security group. So remember, this is going to be the attribute that will be returned when this resource is created by Terraform. Now, once again, the docs is your best friend when it comes to using different arguments for a resource. The argument VPC security group IDs can take a list of security groups that can be applied to our EC2 instance. Now, for our purposes, we're simply going to reference the security group that we created, so we only have one, and we can reference this, as you see here, by specifying the resource followed by the name that we gave it, which is instance, and then we use the attribute that is returned by the resource, and in this case, we need the ID. In Terraform, a resource will have arguments that we've seen, and it will also have attributes, so attributes that it returns. So if we go back to the browser and we search for the AWS Security Group documentation, and then we find that here, so AWS Security Group, so this is the one we're looking for. And if we go to the attributes reference here, we can see that it returns an ID. So this is the ID of the security group, and in total it returns an ARN, an ID, owner ID, and it also returns the tags _ all attribute. So let's go back to our code and let's just check over our code one more time. So let's go back to the terminal, and what we're going to do is we're going to say Terraform apply, and we're going to hit return. So it looks like we have an error in our code. So let's go back to our Terraform code, and it looks like it's using an equals. So let's remove that, and let's go back to our code. Just clear the screen, make this a little bit bigger so you can see, and let's run Terraform apply once more. So now it's outputting the resources that it's going to create. Notice that it will destroy the previous resource, so it forces the replacement. So as you can see here, it's going to destroy the EC2 instance that we have deployed, and it's going to deploy it again because we've updated the user data argument. So if we supply ES as the value, so that takes a few minutes to apply the deployment process. So now it's deployed everything, and as you can see the output here, it's added two resources, it's not changed anything, and it's destroyed one resource. So this is the EC2 instance that we had deployed previously. So it created a new EC2 instance, and it's now applied the security group to that EC2 instance. So what we want to do now is we want to go to our browser, and we want to go to our EC2 console. So we have our Terraform server running. So it's updated this. So let's just refresh the screen, just make sure we have the right instance. So it's deployed the new instance that we have, and it's terminated the old one here. So that's going to be completely removed pretty soon. So what we want to do now is we want to grab the IP address here. Just going to copy that, and then we're going to open a new tab, and then we're going to say colon, and remember we configured it to listen on port 8080, and then we're going to hit the return key. Now, since we're not using HTTPS, Chrome or any other browser might give you this warning. So I'm going to say click on details, and then we're just going to say visit this unsafe site, because obviously we've configured this site, and then we should get our hello world text to be displayed on the screen. So if you just make that a little bit bigger. So this is a text that we configured previously using the EC2 instance user underscore data argument. So this is great. So we've deployed a web server using Terraform. We've created a security group. We've also supplied it with a script that should be returned upon request to our web server. So this is really cool. So we've not touched the AWS console at all. So we've done all of this via Terraform and writing code. So this is really powerful. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to make some changes to our web server, and we're going to look at variables in Terraform.